Hello, James Guy here, Melton Guy, as most people call me. If I seem a little subdued or maybe even angry or upset or even frightened, it might be because to some extent that's the way I am. You can't look or you can't watch a lot of news and see what's going on out there without having to take some time to gather yourself, and that's where I am now. It hasn't been long since I was on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and all those, and of course following the court and some of the things being said out of the MAGA Republican Party now about how they'll take something and run with it, whether it makes sense or truthful or not. And we're dealing with that each and every day, and it's getting to be tiresome. But let me lead into this next observation that I want to make with this disclaimer, and I'm being upfront with you about this. I am not a born-again Christian. Not in the sense that it was first proclaimed by the church and by those calling themselves born-again Christians. I believe in God. I have to believe in a higher power and something greater than myself. And I believe that to be someone I call God and pray to. This man of the Bible, Jesus, surely had an insight to people and people loving people and getting along with people and what makes life worth living. He was a man that had good ideas and had a strategy, if you will, for people to get along with one another. And you don't only find men or people like that in the Bible. You find them in other things. In all of the books that have been, I have found inspiration in many, many books. I was raised in the church. My father and mother, my mom and daddy, as I always call them, they were born-again Christians, as they say. I myself am a retired United Methodist minister. But I don't believe in exactly the same way many of the mainstream believers believe. I believe in good, and I believe in love, and I believe in trying to eliminate the word hate from any language. But the point is not that what I believe, because I'm talking to you out there right at this moment in this podcast, to you born again Christians. It's not what I believe, how I believe about it. The crucial thing here is that you believe that. You espouse that. And going from what I've learned over the years by reading my Bible and studying theology for years and years, I'm asking the question, and I probably asked it before, where is Jesus? First, let me consider this with you. Born again Christians out there right now, from what I see. And I say, give me a break. I grew up with that. I grew up with that person who said they were born again, those people who said they were born again, the church that proclaimed that title of being born again Christians. But then, when I was young, those people that said that, it meant something. It reflected what I read about Jesus in any of the Bibles. What I see now does not. I'm asking you again, where is Jesus? I, along with thousands of others, have left the church over some things that should not exist among those people that call themselves born again Christians. Now, let me throw this group together: MAGA, Trump, godly men and women, born again Christians, followers of Jesus, rape, embezzlement, Hitler, treason. What a group. But I didn't lump them together. That's been done since 2016. And yeah, I put the blame starting at that point. They lumped themselves together into a group, not me. Now I ask you a question. Is that right? No, of course. It's not right. And it's one of those questions that should never be needed to be asked. It's just like the question, was Hitler right? Yet, just look around. These things have to be asked. Was Hitler right? Is it right to lump these categories that I've named together? And then secondly, only because I put those real born-again Christians first. So now we have the person who I call the mouth, Jesse Waters, the newest father of lies, the newest father of false innuendo. Why is he that way? Simply put, all mouth and no intellect, which is most of Fox News, comes out that way. That's all can be produced when it's all mouth, no intellect, and no desire to be intellectual. And then you have to start looking at what's going on today. And I know they've been mentioned over and over again, but I cannot help it. But in what I'm trying to say today, to mention them again. First, there, of course, is Sean Hannity, a proven liar. He even admitted to lying under oath in court. Now he's right back at it. Then you got J.D. Vance, who would give anything in this world that he could give to be the vice president nominee under Donald Trump. Oh, he acts like he doesn't care, but he's a liar from the beginning until the end. He would do anything to have his name put under Donald Trump's in November. And yeah, when I say anything, I do mean anything. That's the kind of people who fall at the feet of Donald Trump. James Comer, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and then there is that butt licker Tim Scott. And then let me mention too, the two-faced Marco Rubio. And let me answer a question he asked on a broadcast. And my answer is, and it would be from all of us, yes, yes, yes. And everyone I know personally via politics, again, yes, yes, yes. We will accept the results of the November election. We may be disappointed, even mad, even terrified, but we will not attack the Capitol or try to pass off fake slates of electoral college voters, nor will anyone call the various secretaries of states to coerce them to commit treason or any of that stuff that should have put scores of individuals, including a president, in prison back in 2020. We will accept the results, Marco Rubio, because we are real Americans, unlike what I see in you and the rest of the Republican Party cult. It comes to this. No, really, it has come to this. Recognize it or not. Deny it or not. Cover it up. You're good at that. But remember this. Out of the Bible, it really is so that we and you and I will reap what we sow. You see, here's what the world sees. If Trump rates someone and then puts a bullet in the victim's head in front of 1,000 witnesses, even if some of those witnesses are senators, Republican senators, or church-going, born-again Christians, and those names that I've mentioned above, and more, along with the many cult followers, and many so-called born-again Christians will make excuses for him, just like they have been doing, just like they're doing now, and it seems there is no end to it. So let me be clear, Democrats. I'm talking to you now. Let me be clear to Jesse Dollemore, and let me be clear to Owen Morgan and to Texas Paul and to Tennessee Brando and many other friends out there fighting Trump and his cult. Stop talking about saving our democracy or our country or our freedoms. Now, before you jump down my throat, think about it. Look at our courtrooms, run by good old boys and wealthy elite. They're not the ones being tried. The only power and authority that the courts have is over people who do not belong to those categories. And they're even losing some of that because they're losing respect. But look at our courtrooms all across this country, even locally. I've experienced it here in my own hometown, in my own home county, when corruption abounds, but no corruption exists because we just let ourselves be told there is no corruption. I've seen it in local and state judges. They do not have real authority anymore. And take an issue like pro-choice or pro-life. Take an issue like that. 75 and some say 80% of the people in this country want pro-choice. And yet we let 20 to 25%, and many of them men, make the law. Is that democracy? Doesn't sound like it. And then there's the Supreme Court. You know, Democrats as well as I do, that there are at least 3 judges that I believe should not be there and never should have been there. At least 3 justices we all know, including Republicans who know it, who are bought and sold every day. Is that democracy? Absolutely, Democrats. We should no longer be about the business of saving anything. We're no longer attempting to save our country and democracy. Oh no, we're in a fight, we're in a battle, desperately trying to take it back. We're not fighting for democracy. We're fighting to take it back, to take this country back. There's an old Middle English word. Nobody ever uses it, but I like to check into words sometimes. It's pronounced obsequious. Obsequious. I'm not going to try to spell it. You can sound it out and look it up in your dictionary. Obsequious. And that word, in its definition, brings out the unhealthy servitude seen not only in women but also in men within that blind loyalty cult of Trump ass kissers. If that's all they're willing to do. And I don't think it is. Its definition says it all. And I'm not happy about it. It's a shame. But as I was saying, its definition means overly submissive. It implies a lack of independence and a lack of self-respect. And lack of self-respect is exactly what so many of us see in women who cling to and support Donald Trump. We see it in men, but it is so much uglier with women. When we know they know Trump's vulgar and disrespectful history with women, and that's not all, of course, but with women, even in recent history. No need to go into it. It's been made public. We all know it. We ignored it, accepted, or are appalled by it. Obsequious. Feel free to use it, for it says so much more than using the terms bootlickers and ass kissers. Because I do indeed question anybody's self-respect, especially women who could vote and support for a monster like Trump. Getting radical? We must get radical. Because we must be heard, not only in this country, but across this world. Representative Crockett's reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene is on point. And we could, no, I take that back. No, we better learn and act accordingly. I love Michelle Obama. And at the time, her idea of when they go low, we go high was okay. Not anymore. I think Michelle Obama was the best first lady we've ever had. But in this instance, we don't need that. We need people like AOC and Representative Crockett and others. You know, it's as basic as this, because we all wonder. With all that's happened, all that we know that this man and his cult followers have done to this country, why do they still laugh and clap at his rallies? Just know nothing monsters rallies. Why do they still laugh and clap? And it's as basic as this, and forgive my language. When you bring shit to a crowd of shit eaters, they are all going to clamor for a bite. You afraid to believe this? Afraid to accept this? Look around. Listen to old friends that used to be right there with you. Better yet, look into your family who you have stood against because you stood your ground and would not support this monster. And how they react to you and how they act towards you. And then pretend they haven't changed. We, my family, my wife, my children, my in-laws of my daughter, we stood against Donald Trump, and it has cost us. But not as much as it would have cost otherwise. I remember a niece who told my wife because she was pro-choice, better yet because she agreed with Hillary Clinton, who was pro-choice. She told my wife she was going to hell. The rest of the family knew about it, but I guess it was all right. Simple things in your family. Like in my case, on the first Mother's Day after the loss of my son, our son Matt. And it's so simple of an idea that families should be first responders in times like these. But on my daddy's side of the family, only a former sister-in-law called to tell my wife she was being remembered on that very special day. You see, what I am saying is this. I do not think it would have been the same scenario before 2016. The same scenario that's taking place in this country now, that's taking place in our church, that's taking place in our local governments, that's taking place in our families, I do not believe that would be the same before 2016. Yes, I, along with millions, have seen the core beliefs of this country and this church from which born again Christians come. We have seen the core feelings of families take that drastic hit since Donald Trump. And that's what happens in cults. That is what happens in cults. You see, we cannot save that which exists no longer. I refer to all I said earlier, the courts, the judges, the church. Yes, they have involved the church, which should never have happened. However, it's in there, and it's taken the hit. But nowhere at no time has it ended in anything but disaster when the church and state buddy up in such a way. Whoever they are, from the church, of the church, Republicans, MAGA, whatever you call them, they do not care about our country. They do not care about your church. They just want to be right. Because right to them means a little bit of power. That's the grand scheme. Look at it this way. Just using the church scenario. Never in the history could this might be. Could this might happen. But before, at the end of a prayer, it was said, in Jesus' name we pray. Would not surprise me a little bit later on when they would say in Jesus' name and Donald Trump's name. And now, as things exist in MAGA and that cult, I guess it would be Donald J. Trump's name first and then in Jesus' name. And soon, they won't even need Jesus. And soon, we won't need judges or courts. We're not fighting to save our democracy. We're fighting to get it back. Remember Tennessee Brando and Texas Paul and Owen Morgan? Listen to them, you'll learn something. And subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more we get the word out. And as well, give me a like and subscribe to my podcast. I'd appreciate it. Remember my book. Let me grab it for you. The Offspring of Ignorance. J. Milton Guy. It's on Amazon. Buy it and take a read. I'll see you next time around. And God bless you all. And I really mean that. God bless you all.